I just message from YouTube because it's been so long. So, hi, I'm here. It is, oh my goodness, today is the 25th of January, 2023. And it's been about 6 months since I have communicated to all of you and to the community and the vibration that is known as technology. And I am real nervous. I'll be honest. I've done 555 videos, and at this moment in time right now, I feel like I'm in my backyard in 17 doing my first video when we had that first big impact to our community and to ones that are like me. And I'm saying, here I am. Funny thing was, at that time, I had no fear. I had more concern of what was happening to me and making sure that other people knew that it was happening to me so that everyone else would know they're not alone. This channel reaches all types of beings that have all different levels of understanding and understanding what we speak about here. My travels, which have consisted of being in more than 45 states and meeting and living and being around generations of beings and people that have had this awakening going on inside them, from their grandparents all the way down to their infant babies, to their toddlers, to their teenagers. All of us activating this recessive consciousness. And I have learned and witnessed these changes in all of us that have happened over the past 4 years. And that is what this channel has always been about. Now, I need to put a free speech thing here, because I just have to say it just so I can get it out of my body. But my channel was used against me in free speech to come and take away my rights. Now, you can't do that. You can, but will you get away with it? And what happened to me, and there was a lot of reasons that I needed to step back, because I needed to reground myself because of what just took place with all of us since August. Now, I've taken some videos down because those of us who needed to see it at that time did. Those that are still talking about it and have any type of judgment or trigger, then you should take note of that. Because what we have learned is there's no way to escape it. Meaning, your frequency will match your reality. And at the end of the day, that is what technology and grid systems and SpaceX 9 satellites and even dark spells That's what we're seeing and understanding. How that changed our reality. How so many have hooked into these different energy realities. And we're so clearly seeing how they're playing harvest. And there's so much that we have all learned throughout the past 4 or 5 years. And each one of us is so freaking special. I believe that's in the Bible, and knowing every hair on your head and all those little things. But the more that we know, the more we're really truly understanding how that's possible. I wanna I wanna start by saying, and I've said this a lot, but your the organic tech that you hear chatter about in the technology world, you hear chatter about it in the spiritual world, is the planets. The organic tech, whenever you see those words, organic tech, whether it's being written in some write up, or it's some conspiracy theory that aliens are coming for this or that, understand that the planetary system, sun, moon, Venus, all the way out to Pluto, and then all the stars that have formed around that, because remember, they're flat. None of it is flat. And one of the things that I was accused is of being crazy, or people trying to portray that I had lost my mind. Thank you for the like, because we know what that does to health. And I also guard this channel again from anybody that is trying to use this information against the people that are just attempting to help others figure out why their family members are dying and why everybody's killing everybody in California right now. Because it is what's happening. Anybody that attempts to use my bravery, or any of us that have stepped out and told everybody what is happening down here, and attempts to convey what we've experienced. Thank you. What we've experienced, because it's why we were here to witness and to assist, you will no longer have favor in any area of your life until you balance out your energetic, building up the energy to come at us. And it's and not geared to any one person. That's the thing. Those of us who walk this path, there ain't just one that came against our energy. There wasn't just one faction that came against us, that tried to stop us, because it's DNA. It really all just depends on how many strands you had inside you, and which rays they were talking to. And if any manipulation had been done in those rays, or deception, to stop your computer. I'm sorry, I'm like balancing and doing all these things at the same time. To stop your computer from processing the data that is coming in from all of these rays, depending on what you're tuned to or mastered. Because at the end of the day, what Koyu and we're really understanding what Cohu 32 is, what we've been able to bring in here, and even how long the reality's been using it. You know, I saw a recent report. I don't know if you follow the Voyager, but Voyager 1 and Voyager 2, which is definitely linked into my knowledge, okay? Voyager 1 was only supposed to go out for 5 years. 5 years. They sent the Voyager 1 out in 1975. Well, we got a Chiron happy birthday date around there, don't we? When Voyager 1 went out, it was supposed to go out for 5 years. How long has it been out there? A long time. Where's it going? Into other dimensions, into other galaxies. What's it doing? It's channeling data. It's picking up these rays. Some on the lowers. These down here are going to be like Morse code. These up here, this is Libra. Okay. Libra is going to be woo, woo, right? These over here, way down here in Aries, that's all you can hear, like static. Why? Because where you are, and I don't know what your computer process is set to. I don't know how you originally came in that body that you're in, because that's your natal chart. Your natal chart is what lessons, because all these got lessons too. This goes all the way out to Aries to Pisces. It's real nice to look at it flat. So what happened to a lot of us in 2017 and what's happening to the rest of the world right now is that your keys were getting plucked. Now, it had been happening the whole time, especially, 1958. 1958 is when things down here changed. So if you were born before 58, or if you have anyone around you that was born before 1958, they remember a reality totally different than what came in the 60s. Now, what we've learned is 1958, now you flip that, 1985, same thing, same thing. So after if you were alive before 1985, which is what, Generation X, if you were alive before 1985, you remember the way people lived. You remember without technology at all. Okay. And then we see this flip again, really every 10 years after 2000, 1999, because we were everything down here was so rapidly having to speed up. The reality was having to catch up with the strands that had been plucked and turned on down here, is the best way at this second, for this purposes of this chat, to describe it and realize. When I come on here, I have 30 minutes or an hour to attempt to tell 6 different levels of consciousness something that can help you, because that's all that this is about. This isn't about becoming anymore. There was a time within the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, even all the way up to 2017, where there are lineages and entire root races of red beings that their entire reason for existing on this planet was to learn and remember things that we would call spirituality and things that the spiritual community, if we kept these labels, that was their karma number one. And that was also what they had given their entire reason for existence in remembering it. They needed to remember it so that when all of these turned on, that there was somebody there that did. And I've talked about this before because each one of us have a different set of books, basically, that have whether you want to say that they've been written now or not, our body and our experiences and the people that have been in our lives and what has happened to us is all important because it is then how we perceive our reality. Now, when you start turning this keyboard on, because remember, we're bubbles inside bubbles, and this really is the history of color. This really is how yellow is seen down here. It starts from way over here. There's two colors in each ray, and this yellow right here from Aries, 12 to 16 degrees, which is only, Aries. We give Aries a hard time. I mean, oh, the simpleton. But Aries also gives us power and oomph and stamina and the will to survive. But it's only 3 stars. Whenever you look down and you're ascending into Aries, or you're coming through it, because you have to. You're projecting. All these stars are projecting and connecting in to that one little cog that's inside your body, because you've got them. I don't know where they are. And they're delivering direct energy and information and reality codes and gifts. This is how some of us have a little bit more telepathy. Some of us can make stuff happen more instantly. But that's all dependent on what DNA line you came from, how your supercomputer was made in your natal, because the data has to come through the computer system. You can't do word processing on an AI computer. And what happened is we did jump that fast per our perception of technology, especially in the old energy. We went from word processor to computer, PC, to flip phones, to iPhone. Well, first to Droid, no, BlackBerry. Then to be able to do everything on there. Then to talking with our thumbs. Then we stopped talking. To this artificial intelligence structure that no one really even understood, and it all happened like that. Why? Well, what we've learned is that all of us humans in this one big universal cosmic body dictate where our bubble is going to land. to create an overall reality. Now, this has been going on for a long time. The problem was 85% of the human race in this current now was programmed to keep it low, to keep the frequency of this bubble, because it is, if we're in this bubble and then we go and there's enough of us that are energetically sustaining, oh nope, we ain't going backwards, nope, 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 I know it, I see it, I know what they're doing, I see each one of us has this, we call it the sixth sense, because it was the sixth dimension that we had a problem with. We have this sixth sense. All of us do, and we, some of us might have it in the tech area. Some of us might pick it up in people. Some of us might see information and just know it's BS. That is because we're not tuned to it. Now, it don't make it right or wrong. That's not the point. And this is also why I had to pull back. Because anybody who's mastering down here understands that there is no judgment for all of it in the end. However, when you're in it, you can't tell us that because you're in it. You're in survival mode. You're getting pinged. Bing, 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 bing. You're seeing it so much. You're seeing, because once we get connected really into that healing high consciousness energy, you're at the top of the ball, not the circumference of the ball. You're up here at the very top. You're connected to not that many beings. But then what? You're connected to every single being that you have healed their DNA strand. You're somehow, and this is where it comes to in your natal body, how do you pick it up? You're somehow hearing their thoughts. You're somehow sometimes seeing through their eyes. You're a lot of the time you're feeling everybody else freak out. You're a lot of us who have a lot of cancer energy, you gain a lot of weight. If you gained weight recently, you're patting yourself. Realize that that's what you're doing, because it's like a blister. Now, there ain't no right or wrong with it. Your soul will have you, when you're in tune, gain a little bit of weight so that you can have some padding. See, it's also beautiful how your reality and how your well-being and your peace of mind can be confirmed that you're on the right track when you're tuned in. I know I kind of got off on a little bit, but I think that however it's coming out, it's important. The main thing that I can say just for this video purposes is, because I'm going to cut this one short. It was a lot for me to get on here with the repercussions that have happened in my life for telling the world what's going on. And I know that each one of us that has been doing so has entered into a dimensional layer. You know, I got blamed for saying I'm a multidimensional being. Well, do you dream? Because when you dream, you're in 4D. 4D is channeled from 13D. 13D was being controlled by the Isis chamber in Giza. 22nd dimension, and we it's like a lot of us know, and we understand the old hierarchy of the Masonic construct, and we hear 33 a lot. But the 22 is what came in the past 6 months with a lot of us feminine, just because you've got men who have power, you've got women who have power. Each of us had a different power. All they were doing was allowing someone else to use their power and giving it all away for some price or something, is what was happening. But that 22 is what affects the fourth dimension. Now, since you're a computer processor, and since you're then expanding into, and this is any type of creation you've ever done, if you've written a book, if you're a computer programmer, if you read tarot, which FYI guys, we love our tarot readers, but there are, I I hear a lot of tarot readers that they're channeling these energies. They're telling us the stories. They're telling us exactly what's going on in our worlds. That's why we tune in from time to time, especially the lower frequency stuff. Because because there are people that are moving around, and there are all these things that are being made and things that are being said, and in the lower carbon fields, you're picking that up and you're telling us almost like a loudspeaker what's going on. What I just want to remind all my tarot readers is that there are many levels above that. And don't get used to reading the carbon, the swamp. Keep going. Keep going. I wanted to throw that in. Keep going. These frequencies form around your bubble, and whichever ones you have activated, okay, you're getting the data and the gifts and the karma from it. So that's like all RH negatives, star seeds, mega star seeds. When we look at where your planets are, because that's what this Cohu 32 and how we channeled, because this is how we used to get out of it. I mean, realize at the very, very top of this bubble, Cohu 32 has been around for 50 years. I mean, this is why ibuprofen is the colors it is. This is why your fast food restaurants are these two colors right here. Most of them. This is why Taco Bell all of a sudden turned what? Purple? Ha, that's funny. This is why what is it? Proposition 23. If you look, it goes up to 17, and it's all these rules and all this crazy stuff. Well, they're all color coded exactly like this. And in each little rule that's on there goes with the energetics of this. And here's a really one that blew my cuckoo nest. Y'all remember? I don't know if you was alive in the '80s or if you've seen '80s home goods. Everything was what? Blue, country blue, and country pink, like dusty pink, and like that weird blue color. Well, Cancer, right here. In Cancer, what star system is that? Sirius. In the '80s, all of us staring 24/7, country pink and country blue, took our bubble denser to Sirius. And then what did we got? Sirius XM radio. Remember in the '70s? Remember that horrible, horrible avocado green and orange? See, I was a little girl in the '70s, and I just and mustard yellow. Remember, it wasn't yellow, it's mustard yellow. Well, Izar which is 27 degrees of Libra, which happens to be now, and this is involved with Excalibur's sword, even, and the whole story with that, because that's caused all those stories that people want. People want to think, oh, Arthur's going to come and pull this sword out of a rock. No, it was a metaphor. It was a metaphor for Izar, actually, because Izar at 27 degrees of Libra is was one ray that they were allowing in that had the DNA infrastructure of an alpha draconic, a reptile, to hold the Arcturian upgrade frequency. So Izar, and this also goes back into super soldiers and the Tsar, even royalty, all that mess. A lot of times I'll call it the femme fatale, if you, and the toy soldiers, because it is the thoroughbred DNA, because it did allow those to mix. However, in the old energy, what Excalibur sword also did was block off the gasoline and all the connectors inside the body that know how to wield and utilize Arcturian energy. That's why it became toy soldier, because if you had that DNA, then you was actually being controlled more than you ever thought with any type of energy race. Now that is really like this army green. See, it's kind of like it really is like a mint army green and a pink. This bright pink. That bright pink is showing through from over here in Ophiuchus. The beginning degrees of Sagittarius, when you're starting to get real deep and a lot of knowledge, a lot of what people would call esoteric knowledge, but it's really not. The beginning degrees of Sagittarius are more like your basis elements from a macro perspective, because whenever you hold strong Sagittarius energy, you're changing a lot more than just the water in your glass and the rock next to you, which would be more like the beginning of degrees of Scorpio. See, because it develops and you learn over time. And those of us who had these starseed points, we have crazy lives. We do. Everything happens to us, or it did. Why? Because we were channeling that energy here. We had brought it in this whole time. And what was happening is, as we're just living, because this is how it works, as you're just going about trying to have a life, those codes are coming out of you to the collective. Some of us, it comes out like this. Some of it comes in like this. The mastery is to control the meeting place and to have it come from both. See, and this is still what we're doing. But my point is, those of us, and if you do have a lot of starseed locations, this is where all these timeline things started coming in. This is, in 2019, the entire collective was doing cutting timelines, healing timelines. And you hear this in just the basis of people's even business conversations now. I've overheard many people talking around saying, oh, well, they're just not on the right timeline yet. Well, before 2019, before 2020, when all of us who connected these strands way out, because why? We could. Why? Because we had already paid the karma to do it. There ain't nothing down here that you can change if you haven't lived it. So the more angelic you are, the more you're going to live through. Especially if you were here to bring down the dark forces. Especially if you were here to stop black magic manipulation. especially if you were here to stop what we would consider black magic manipulation in a tech field that seems to be insane. If you are here and connected into those energies that somehow makes that technology, because I mean, another thing that came up is I got blamed for saying somebody their body produced Wi-Fi. Well, no, their body doesn't produce Wi-Fi by themselves. No, the human bodies are what make Wi-Fi. The gating of it, because all it is putting it into a pressure stove and then turning on the heat and then getting all that gas to come up, and then they were doing was blocking it, but you'd think they's blocking it from up here, but nah, they's blocking it from down here and up here and over here and over here, right? Because Elon Musk wasn't coring up, he's coring down, whether he knew it or not, per whatever perception the being might be in. Now, at the same time, now is the time where we're going to see a lot of U-turns. So I know, let me close this up real quick, because in the 70s we were staring at avocado green, okay, that Libra. So that was literally pulling in and sending us into deeper DNA counts dealing with reptilian DNA. Now, look, all of us have reptilian DNA. All of us now have tech in our bodies. I mean, you can't, the soup blew up. You can't take out each ingredient one by one. Like, it is what it is. So, your bubble now has all of it in it, but so does your body template, depending, and these have are changing and they're evolving and they're becoming, each one of these has an archetype. There's 32. There's only 32 human programs down here on earth. This is why coming to a hue up social is part of the healing. Doing the color book, coming to a social. You do those two things, you get it. Because you can't not see it. You see it in somebody else. You start realizing, oh my gosh, there's a whole bunch of us that think like this, or this is why that woman said that, because she's picking up this different energy. It don't make it right or wrong. Just because you don't believe it, don't mean it ain't true, right? It don't mean that you need to believe it. Now, when it comes down to actually how reality works down here, and if you're using electronics, and if you live, especially in the United States, I'd pay attention, because your bubble is being controlled by this subliminal messaging. Your bubble's putting out these colors too. What colors are you putting out? How can you alchemize that? Real easy, real easy. Putting up different colors in your house, wearing different colors that you got on. I'll show you my jacket before I hang up right here. But what we have learned walking through this is exactly what we all needed to learn. Every single experience that happened, we needed to have. Every time we move up, because the entire collective is moving up, we had to get rid of all the darkness. You cannot run pure flow reality the way we're supposed to manifest down here in a human body. Ain't got nothing to do with money. Nothing to do with money. The ones that were running this egg from the very top and the very bottom knew that. This is why all the money's going away. This is why nobody's got any money. This is why Biden came out and said everybody's going to have nothing and they're going to like it. Yeah, but you forgot the most important part, which is to educate the people on how to manifest. See, because there's been entire groups that have been controlling that manifestation energy and stopping it for just themselves and then spinning it back on you. Sound about right? The education of the people, all of us opening up and understanding how we work and create the reality. How it's possible that California hasn't fallen in the ocean yet because of the five beings that were moving back and forth and sewing timelines in order to try to keep it from not falling into the ocean because their bodies are attached to DNA strands on here from depths that were rewriting the core of the planet. See, we've come to a point where humans, if we don't continue, because you will, you have to, because the bar's been set. So there is no more jobs, no more job. Sorry, Eek. There's no more financial slavery because there's no more money because what money was collateralized off of was a bunch of beings that have now activated. The core of the planet is now they're saying what it stopped and now it's going the different direction. I can tell you why. Everything that in our reality since this pandemic and this COVID, which was basically us walking the vector Pisces and two in a different faction having a looking glass that was spying in. That's why they wanted to make everything so generic so they could put somebody in your spot. See, it's just dependent right now because the whole, I don't care who you are, you're going through it. If you've been walking around and you've had lots of money and you've been looking down on beings like us, going, why are they crying? Why don't they just go get a job? And you've had a cakewalk the past 7 years, it's your turn. Be grateful that you didn't go first. Stop judging anybody else that you perceive might not have done it like you did because what is going to be shown to you now, and this is where these U-turns can happen real quick, and this is the main reason I wanted to come on here. I wanted to come on here and tell you, hey, I'm okay. Number one. Number two, we can't silence our voices, but we know when to speak. Number three, you're not alone. Things got really bad. Things got really crazy. I know a lot of us were being blamed for being crazy. A lot of us have lawsuits and stuff going on because of what we were telling people, trying to stop us, putting fear in us. A lot of us were so sent so much black magic. I mean, my God, the entire collective had a death spell that we just got out of. And it's still clearing and it's still clearing because that is the mastery, and it's what I'll be coming on here more as I'm talking about these rays, and I don't know, we'll just have to see how it rolls. But the most important thing is that I want everyone, if they can, to feel my compassion, number one, and to just know wherever you are right now, whatever just happened in the past 5 to 6 months, it was all a level up. See, and some of us had to go down to get back up because remember, it's physics. It's the lightest light. When that flips, where's it going to go? The cellar. You know, they God and the devil, twin flames, right? Because if you're the highest frequency and you have all and I don't care what you think you know or don't know. I don't care if you think you understand this or you don't, because you do. somewhere. Your highest frequency, when this baby flips, you're gonna go to the basement and you're gonna meet the rat. But it's what we were here to do. We were here to shine a light on the most densest stuff that most and look, everybody forgot. Everybody forgot. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you are the most adverse on dark magic. I don't care if you're the most diverse on masonry. I don't care if you're the most diverse. I don't care what it is. I can promise you there ain't no way that you knew the level of density to the hole that we just had to clear. Why? Because it was about 900 years overdue. Oh, thank you. Thank you. And I'm sending y'all positive energy to do your chores. Because look, that, and there, I mean, just finish. There was no, and that's why a lot of people and a lot of y'all freaked out. And look, I'm sorry I had to come on and scream, but it was also, this was my only communication to the entire world as these technology grids were getting shut down, as they turned on CERN and fried everybody, as they had put, realize in these vaccines, there, I mean, the good news is for healers, y'all. And this might be, well, not this might be, this is a message to a lot of y'all. I'm giving you a little pearl right here because we need you. These vaccines, there's only what, 4 or 5, I don't know, I'm not a vaccine researcher. These 4 or 5 vaccines, what we have learned is that the human chose that vaccine to learn specific lessons and to have specific things cut off from them, and since they've got the vaccine, in order to realize that they need to heal from that or build up a layer or cut back in some area. But what I'm saying is everything that was done against us helps us, and and will not prosper. And since that is what happened, what ended up happening is that if you took a vaccine, which by the way we've all healed through, like there's no way for us to be completely clear if not healing through the vaccines. However, those of us who did it, who carry a lot of mind knowledge and mental knowledge, and even the understanding of, like me, like my specialty is the brain, this deprograms you. Okay. Those of us who had, man, it's jumbled up in there, wasn't it? Like, I know I sounded a little crazy for a minute. My point is, why was, the ones that supposedly cared about me, that were supposedly in my family, that were so concerned, then why didn't you call me? But see, that needed to happen. We healed through the vaccines. We had to. There was no way to completely heal the human body in order to become back in alignment to line the planets and the cosmos up back the way it's supposed to be, because we weren't. We was in a simulation. We're in like the in between right here, which is why things are getting extra low or extra high. We're seeing a significant split now. It's either like you're conscious or you're not. For those of us who are fully conscious and our vibrations are so high, right now it's pretty hard to move about the world. It takes a lot of energy to push through the stagnation that so many unconscious are floating in. So it don't matter if right now if you're a real high frequency being and you just came out of some real low stuff, and you know that you were getting spiritually attacked, you know that black magic was getting sent against you, understand that what you can't come out of it all at once because it'll blow up your reality, number one. And it wasn't why you chose to go through it, because you did in some way. Because what you're learning is how to then push it off. First of all, you're learning that that's what it was. If you were attacked real heavy, it didn't just all come at once anyway. You have your own little Akashic library of knowing when someone's sending some sort of crap to you. I mean, realize that if you would have told me black magic was this much involved in anything before I activated in this world, I would have laughed in your face. Like, right now is when I need to remind everybody, I didn't, me, Chastiacav, I'm going to legally change my name to Chastia soon. But I was here government as Kristen Birch, Christy, well, Genzel, then a Birch, Genzel. Knowing, and why'd I go there? What'd I say right before it? No, I just lost my train of thought. Something shut me up right there. Oh, you have an Akashic library of knowing. See, you have these feelings like all of a sudden, and I'll give you an example. All of a sudden, you might get really horny, but you don't know why. That could be a couple of things. Because understand that even people are doing sex magic, but they don't realize they're doing sex magic. They don't, because us as beings down here, you have a clear body. You do, whether you know it or not. Your body was cleared, and the energetics were cleared. So the ones who were trained on certain things, that's how their power became that much more powerful. All of a sudden, right? If the right being connected to you sees you, they don't even know you, and they can't stop having sexual thoughts about you, and then they go masturbate to you, that is a form of sex magic. Now, it's not that nobody's a practitioner. It's not that nobody means any ill intention. The thing is, if you don't protect yourself and enough of people are doing that, what happens is that it's not the one who's making the energy, because they really like you. They're really attracted to you. They're trying to figure out how to work up the gumption to come talk to you because your frequency is so shiny and they just saw you out. And for whatever reason, our images keep showing up in their head because they need to contact us for some reason, because we are beacon dimensions. Let's say 20 people have the hots for you, which is not a lot. Okay. And it just so happens that they masturbate, and whenever they do, your image just pops up in their head. They're not even like getting off from it. It just popped into their head. The problem was, so many were making this energy that there were elect groups of beings that knew how to angle it. So it's like all this energy was getting made out here, and that is what it is, and it's just kind of the nature of then how you pop in and meet people, and it is how it works. It is a law of attraction. I don't masturbate to anybody without their permission. Number one, if their image just pops up in your head, you can't control that. But also, images pop up in your head. Sometimes you have your gifts are with sexual intercourse and sexual energy, especially a lot of us feminines, because this is what we learn in its energy to create in a loving relationship. It's even how babies are made. But what I'm saying is that there were entire groups that have been trained in order to wield and send it and intend it, and a lot of coven magic, especially in Hollywood, was based on sex. So what we've learned, is that And this is why it for the past 4 years, if you had a real high frequency and it felt like the whole world was attacking you, it didn't, because in some sense or form it was because energetically it don't matter if just everybody in your family got a vaccine, but you, that would form a barrier around you if you're not consciously healing your DNA and your history of your DNA with your family. Just everybody getting vaccinated but you would send you into a lower timeline, because y'all's bubble was just, because it's how it works. It all works together. So then all of a sudden you're having to learn the lessons grandpa made the mistakes on. Things are happening in your reality. Why? Because they're showing you exactly what happened before. Exactly. So if you were sent to a psych ward, or if you were sued, or if you ended up in black magic, or if you ended up in a showdown, or if your brain was trying to be accessed, or man, whatever, because it was all on the table in this last 4 months, which is really 4 years, because of how much time we had to change. That is how we changed 900 years in 4 years. My heart just went gong gong. And I'm going to end with that, but that at the overall, how did we do it? How did we pull it off? Because there was a bunch like me that were conscious and knew what the F, even though we didn't know everything and we still don't know everything, especially when you're coming out of a carbon shadow, because that carbon has come, see, that carbon was sent and it had its own properties, right? Then it hit your field. Well, your field has its own properties. So whenever it bound with that, what did it create? Something new. Well, there is no light without dark, and there is no dark without light. So what ends up happening is that the one who's holding the highest frequency is re-engineering all of that carbon, and then you get a lotus flower. You get the little boop, the golden mean at the end of the day. But there's a bunch of flowers depending on how low you were sent. But understand that if you were sent that low, there's a reason, because you're the one who knows how to grow from there, whatever that is. So I want to thank y'all for welcoming me back, and let me know if you like this video. If there's any questions y'all have. I'm really not sure. Like day to day, and this is all of us right now. It's literally minute to minute what we're focusing on, what we're involving ourselves in, what we're doing. Mainly for my crew, it's been what we're not doing. I missed y'all too. I really did. Don't make me cry. Just, it's hard, right? Because you can help so many, and you feel everybody going through it, and I couldn't reach out right then. It wasn't safe. I'd gone so far high and so far out that I've really only the past 3 weeks been able to really process and be here again. A lot of us are having to learn to live life not on the dark side of the moon anymore. And for a lot of us, it's where we were sent. 2017, it might have happened to you. 2018, it might have happened when CERN turned on. but your physical body back in this realm and just being in life and not having to be consumed by the healings and I mean, because when you're coming out of this carbon, depending how much tech you have, you are in a video game, and it does feel that way. When you get super conscious and you go out, you read and see every single subliminal message. You can't not because the intention was for you to get the message. And there's a reason for each one of these levels. Now we know. And we can also prove there is no mental illness. There isn't. Mental illness is your processor, your computer out of whack from some type of trauma, from some type of splitting, from some type of curse, even. And a curse is only because it's been going on so long in the line that it was just still happening, and the right one of us couldn't bridge those three atoms to make a singular thought, but it wasn't even our fault. It was because of the manipulation of these bubbles holding us apart, stretching us, doing whatever, because your etheric body, wherever your etheric body is activated, is where you have sight. Let me say it again. Wherever these layers, when you understand what stars you have lined up, what happens is your eyes open just a little bit like this in every single layer. So for those like me that came from the star macro and then went into the dirt, and because I ended up doing like this, my journey, but my journey is real extreme. Others will feel like they, in this lifetime, they came more from the stars. Others are going to feel like they just came out of the ground. Okay. But whenever you're coming down from the star systems, remember that it's a force. It's a force that we all connect to. You're not alone. And the feminine side, and the main thing that is one of the hardest to master, that we're doing now, and a lot of you might have, while I was out running around the country, y'all couldn't leave your house, so you had to master patience, and you had to master knowing that you couldn't make a move right then. And I tell you what, that is the feminine side. And for those of us that were any type of star seed, it's almost like the show The 100, where they start out living in the space, right? And so the whole thing is we don't have resources. We got to get back to the earth. It's balls to the walls. It's we've got to do it. There ain't no other way. And that was true. It was true for a lot of us. And so we have a very alpha military mindset, also by the programming and the lines, and this goes back into Russia, and kind of like being an Olympic gymnast, kind of the way that people also don't tell us good job. Start, if you can tell people good job. You'd be surprised how many of us aren't used to hearing it, and it's the one thing that we need in order to flip our program to start receiving. Because what I've learned, because we have all these pressures, we think we've got to do this because of a timetable. We think we've got to do this because of money. We think we've got to make this move right now. And sometimes that is true. And when you're tuned in, you know exactly when to make that move. I mean, think about it. You're, if you'll just realize that if you just came out as something that is just boom, and you're like, man, no one's ever going to believe me. But you're whole in yourself, and now you're able to recall and figure it out. Realize that what you did was battle the unseen and the unconnected. So what you did was read exactly to the millisecond when you needed to move, when you needed to sit down, when you needed to do the reading, when you knew you needed to stop, because it was all the physics that were around you. So when you really understand, okay, I know that I'm so in tune with spirit that I'm only going to make a move when I need to. Now, then the hard part is sitting still, not going out and making a move in the workforce, not going out, hurry up and got to get this XYZ from the store, even though I know I shouldn't be going to the store right now. But the baby needs this. But I can make it at home with this. It might not be exactly what the baby's used to doing, but I can get away with it. And then your spirit showing you how to make something similar, but not moving. Because when you sit still, what's happening is you're activating all this other inside you that's tuning you to this higher timeline, because this is why we did it all, and it's linked in. Venus is exalted in Pisces. We're out of jail finally. If you was watching my channel in 2018, I was like, okay, we know that they're going to let Venus out of jail, but we don't know when. We had to reconnect Venus into everything. So Venus is having to back up and having to get your story rewritten from everything that you've done. Now, if you haven't been doing a whole lot of this clearing and you're just finding my channel and you haven't been in this crazy reality, congratulations. Then all you got to do is start writing your story and flow. So thank you guys. Please share the video. Let me know what I can talk about. And I'm going to show y'all real quick. The brand is building. We know it's going to be really successful. I'm also, don't look at my whole room. But here is my Sag jacket. This is Ophiuchus 2, number 23. And it's got some really cool stuff on the front. So we've got, I mean, I've just been kind of messing with fashion and some white label stuff on the different rays, because I wear this jacket out when I'm ready to really bring in the elements, right? I mean, you can really, really, really use color in these tools to help you even wade through the density out there. And we're just trying to get this information out and get something going to build us stability and a foundation, and all work together as best we can in our new sovereignty. Love you guys. Let me know in the comments.